Hello YouTube, this is AugustusLarch. Time for me to make a vlog. And I'm going to make a vlog on how objectively I'm a partisan. Not officially, but I want to speak a little bit on the United States of America. Okay? We're supposed to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, right? But yet there's more people in the correction system, person for person, than any other country on the planet this government has. You know, what's really free about that? And what's brave about every 20 or so years they send the military to a developing country on sketchy license to wreck up the place, destabilize their infrastructure, and generally act like a bully. What's exactly brave about that? And then leave the place worse than what we left it. You know, and I'm not ripping on the troops or anything. They got roped into the system, you know. A lot of them joined the military because they got this spiel from their recruiter, and they got offered school, or they got a deal to get out of a conviction or something, and they pretty much got drafted into it by different means in previous generations. And what was so free about, see, I have a small business. I was painting today. You can see by how I look, you know. Well, I work for a living, you know, and a lot of people work for a living. And in this country, most wage earners are employees of a banking cartel called the Federal Reserve. Somewhere along the line, our government decided to make us all employees of a banking cartel. So they control the people's currency. It's public currency, and it should be controlled by the U.S. Treasury. But no, they let the Federal Reserve coin the money and print the money. And then on top of that, they charge income tax through the Internal Revenue Service to pay 3% for all the money they create. That's like the lunatics running the asylum. They have nothing but an incentive to make inflation in this kind of situation. And yet the only persons that speak about this are fringe people, like Ron Paul, who's unelectable because he talks about real issues. Instead of, you know, and what happened to the agrarian base in this country, the agrarian population? The base of the economy used to be family farms. Most people lived on a farm. They could produce a lot of what they needed. They hardly needed money because they had something better than money. They had true value, right? And a lot of them had paid off their property, but then they got into this scam with the media saying, oh, we don't have our prices or whatever. No, it wasn't the prices. It was the energy crisis. It was their operating costs that killed them. A lot of the sensible people got out of farming because they saw it as a business. Other people saw it as their livelihood, their heirloom to pass on to their children. Most of that's gone now. You drive around out here in Minnesota, there's a lot of abandoned homesteads, a lot of idle land that's under the CRP, Conservation Reserve Program. So there's a few big farmers who had a lot of land holdings. They bought up everybody else. And a lot of them just put it into CRP. They don't have to do anything. They just get a check from the government to leave their land pretty much idle. They have to mow it every now and again, but that's about it. A lot of it doesn't get mowed very much. It's going back to trees. When before it was in production. Now they have something called a farm program, but to get that, you got to have free and clear land, a good chunk of land already available, or some other, I don't really understand it that well, but I know it's go big or go home type of farming. And they're not making any money on it, business-wise, on their balance sheet. They're dependent on that subsidy. Big-time subsidies. They get a lot of money. And farming is expensive now because the energy crisis is still on. It's actually a depression. It's the worst depression that this country's ever seen. And it's worldwide, and it's due to the banking system. Money doesn't exist anymore except on paper. And the whole basis of the money system isn't gold, it isn't anything like that. It's credit. It's the loans that they give out. Every time you go into the bank and get a loan, they get to write it up on their balance sheet as an asset. And then they get to, they say the Federal Reserve, they have a required reserve, and they get so much currency, like have a fractional amount in the Federal Reserve, and then they get much more to use in their banking institution. And it's pretty much all on paper. It doesn't exist. And this is worldwide. And the people that started this is pretty much the Anglo-Americans. And people talk about the U.S. as being the greatest country on earth. It's just a PR scam. It is. The United States has been a bully since the 1830s, when they started the Opium Wars in China. They forced China with their fancy naval gunboats and battleships, the British and the Americans, to force the Chinese to buy opium when they didn't want it. So a lot of the rich people, money with a capital M in this country, got their money from selling opium to a developing country, China and other countries that didn't really want it, but they got forced into it. So they bullied their way in. They bully still today. They bully us, the citizens. They bully me. I mean, I operate pretty lean. I got to be very careful to stay operating in my business, or else I couldn't even function. I wouldn't be able to put gas in my car. And pretty much, they got us tied to petroleum so much. They've suppressed technology. We could have Star Wars like equipment today. Remember the guy named Nikola Tesla? He had this thing called a geodynamic refraction coil, where it was an antenna and a current generation system that generated current from the Earth's magnetic field. Actually, you can generate it from any signal. There's a lot of like signal coming to us from the sun, from any stars out there. If you had the right equipment, you could get it together. And including the one closest to us, the Earth. You know how much electric output the Earth puts out? That's just gone? There's welders and pipe fitters. They have stray voltage problems. If they have enough pipe in the ground, it develops its own current, and it can kill people. It's dangerous. And it's on a 12-hour Hertz cycle. So every 12 hours, it reverses polarity. So what the geodynamic refraction coil does is it has a coil that oscillates on an antenna that gathers a current and oscillates to usable current, alternating current. Anyway, this is why I'm objectively a partisan, because you watch the media, you listen to the news, you read your print media. It's all crap that is inconsequential, really. They follow little family drama things and make them national news. That happens all the time. What the hell is wrong? Something is very, very wrong. And these people, doomsday preppers, hopefully that happens. I'm hoping it happens, because we really desperately need a fresh start in this country. Land of the free and the home of the brave. Are you for real? Really? Anyway, put your thoughts in the comment section. This is AugustusLarch. Thanks for staying with me.